everyone, it's Speak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to take a look back at one of the early movies within the great director Oliver Stone's career, the very intense war drama called Salvador. Released back on March the 5th, 1986, it stars James Woods, Jim Belushi, Elpidia Carrillo, Cindy Gibb and John Savage, and of course was directed by Oliver Stone. Based on the real life experiences of journalist Richard Boyle, and his time spent within a Salvadorian civil war conflict, which was between the guerrilla armies of the FMLN, that is the Farabindo Marti National Liberation Front, opposing the Salvadorian government and its connection with the United States. The conflict escalated within the late 70s and early 1980s, and the war itself resulted in over 75,000 estimated deaths, lasting from around 1979 to 1992, with approximately over 8,000 disappearances. Now, the movie itself starts with Boyle broken down and penniless, living in a broken down apartment with his wife struggling for bills and facing eviction. He's constantly being rejected for news assignments and is eventually abandoned by his wife. Hitting rock bottom, him and his friend Dr. Rock haphazardly drive to El Salvador in Central America, where Boyle hopes he can get work covering the country's civil war conflict, taking various photos. However, both men get far more than what they bargained for, and then some. Fully thrust into the violence and chaos, Boyle witnesses firsthand the brutal and savage murders of protesters who opposed the government regime. Boyle's rage and despair intensifies when not only the innocent civilians are murdered, but the violence also reaches people that he knows and cares about, whether it's his former girlfriend Maria or the American aid worker named Kathy. As the conflict continues, we see the nature of both opposing sides, and Boyle struggles to find justification for either. He also faces an all-out fight for his life and the ones that are closest to him. And when looking at Salvador, it's a super serious commentary on real-life opposition and oppression. It is at times an extremely powerful, dystopian and disturbing film, covering multiple themes of politics, corruption, terrorism and revolution, and outside insurrection. You don't get fairy tale endings here or sentimentality, as we get some truly harrowing sequences that are both difficult to watch and even harder to comprehend, considering that they actually happened in real life. And this is very typical of Oliver Stone, for me certainly one of the vastly underappreciated great movie directors, and his greatness was forged by the trio harrowing Vietnam movies, Platoon in 1986, Born on the 4th of July in 1989, and Heaven and Earth in 1983. Also had the 80s iconic stockbroker drama Wall Street, and the epic conspiracy thriller document drama in JFK in 1991. Now, Salvador came in the very early stages of Oliver Stone's career, where he shows early signs of his great work, and like those previous films, he's very uncompromising and unforgiving in how he portrays the characters and the world that they inhabit. Here he tries to show elements of both the victimized extreme rebel forces and also the bickering and politicking of the US governments and right-wing protocols. We get the typical debate as to whether the US aid and support is just a masquerade for more warmongering and corruption. What does America really stand for, and whether it truly is on the side of good? And you see this explored all throughout Stone's work, very much drawing from his own experiences as a soldier in Vietnam. There are no good or bad guys here, and everybody has an overall morally ambiguous nature. But for all of its merits, Salvador is very much a flawed work. The power and intensity is let down by choppy storytelling, which covers a lot of material, but at times it feels disjointed, as if some events have been left out. We have some powerful moments, including a very shocking attack of American aid workers, but then we simply jump forward to journalists chasing next story without letting us as a viewer really comprehend or understand what has gone on before us. I also had issues with the lead role of Boyle. Now, from the outset, he's very abrasive, egotistical, and overall a chancer. With the gift of the gab, he seemingly blags his way out of each situation, going in full throttle without any thought or overall plan. Without any conviction or money behind him, for the most part he's way over his head, relying purely on luck or circumstance to get out of trouble. Almost implausibly so. I kept watching the movie certain that he would be killed almost immediately for the things that he does and the things that he says. And whilst this does provide a constant tension, it does also undercut the movie's credibility somewhat. It did also irritate me how Boyle's actions and attitude seemed to get the people around him hurt or killed, and overall the character just comes across as very snarky and cynical and very unlikable, despite the efforts later on in the movie to help Maria. Their relationship doesn't really bear any true distinction or emotion. And all of this in many ways coincides with the lead performance of James Woods, somewhat of a specialist in playing ambiguous, corruptible, overbearing characters, and Salvador possibly could be the greatest performance of his career. He really propels the energy and intensity seen so often throughout his movie roles, but here he's full-blooded, carrying it alongside a charisma, yet he's much more watchable and fully deserving of the Best Actor Oscar nomination that he got for this role. The other issue that I had with this movie is its ending, which tonally is very depressing and neither does it feel fully complete or resonant within the story. For all of the political commentary and thematical coverage, the conclusion lacks any real message or final point. It very much ends with some story left over. We ask ourselves what happened to Boyle in the future, what was the lasting impact of his experience, what indeed happened to the friends that he met within Salvador, and I just felt there was much more of a story to tell here, and the movie just opted for a much more flat, underwhelming conclusion, and I found this very disappointing in the long run. Now, when talking of its release, and as with his earlier films, Salvador was another commercial disappointment. Likely it was too political, too hard-hitting, too savage and too dark to really appeal to mainstream audiences, with the movie itself only grossing around $1.5 million within US cinemas. Now, it did gain very strong reception for a serious treatment of the subject matter and the power that it carried. It did overall garner 2 Oscar nominations, one for James Woods' performance and also for Best Writing. And Salvador yet remains an impactful and flawed movie, and as I mentioned, very much an early marker for the true greatness that Oliver Stone would eventually go to ascend to. He would go on to refine and improve of the flaws of this films with his later works throughout the 80s, but Salvador remains a very weighty and worthy movie overall, and it's definitely worth watching for its subject matter alone. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings when talking about Salvador from 1986. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know within the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.